We're coming to you live from the 55th Conference of the African National Congress from Nasrec in Johannesburg. Good afternoon to you. If you have just joined us, you're watching SABC News. My name is Naledi Moleo, and it really is quite an eventful morning here at the conference. The program was set to kick off at 8:30 with a prayer and the singing of the national anthem and the African Union anthem. That has not yet taken place because of delays that the party has said has been due to the process of registering and accrediting branch members, hundreds of whom are still gathered outside Ormonde, where they have struggled to even get inside the premises to access their accreditation. Griselda Lewis having showed us those images a little bit earlier on. She also spoke to NEC member and chief whip of the party in the National Assembly, Pemmy Majodina, who apologized for the delays in the program, but also went on to really talk about how the party forges forward in its striving for unity, which is, of course, a really big theme that party members have talked about coming into this national conference. But is this something that the party is going to be able to achieve as they make some key decisions around their policies and amendments to their constitutions? One of those, of course, being how they treat members that have been disciplined by the Integrity Committee, how they treat members that face charges as well through the judicial system and the step-aside rule, and so much more. We know that load shedding going to be a very big part of that discussion around how the party really starts to forge a way forward to deal with the tough economic times that we are facing. And of course, this happening as the country is hit by stage 6 load shedding this morning. But let's analyze what we've seen so far, and for that we are joined by political analyst as well as governance expert, Mr. Sandile Uswana. Thank you so much for joining us. A good morning to you once again. Just moments ago we saw Samkele Maseko speaking to the former SG of the party, Ace Magashule, outside of the premises, right? We don't know if he's going to be making his way in, but he certainly has talked about how he's available and he's waiting for party members to call on him. Just this morning, and Desiree reading this tweet as well, Dr. Dlamini Zuma tweeting, "Good morning, comrades. I wish to assure you that the communication I received from the acting SG and the ANC does not affect my ability to stand. If nominated by branches of the ANC, I am still allowed to stand for nomination and I will avail myself. Malibongwe." Strong statements there. And then there's the image of the former president, Jacob Zuma, who will be here voting as well, but he won't be up on the stand with the other leadership. He'll be sitting alongside branch members. I mean, what does this say about the rise and fall of leaders within the African National Congress for you?
I think that as I was reflecting, looking also at these videos of Samkel and Ace Magashule, that, you know, when they went to the Polokwane conference, they said they are going to fix the ANC and put it into good order because it had become elitist and so on and so forth. That Thabo Mbeki was launching neoliberal programs using the state machinery against the members and so on. One of the prominent things that whole group, and Cyril was part of that whole group, by the way, they've produced state capture. After Polokwane, one of the prominent things they've produced is state capture. They've produced deepening load shedding, deepening divisions. I mean, they are fracturing into so many things. ATM has come out of this, by the way. It came out of the ANC. The so-called RT forces are out there, the CR17, CR22. They are so divided and they are fighting. I mean, Ace is outside of these premises right now, mobilizing to the best of his ability. And Zuma has produced videos and all sorts of communications, mobilizing as best as he knows how to overthrow Cyril Ramaphosa. So you're looking at an ANC that has gone into the depths of divisions.
When you look at those leaders, though, do you have, I mean, there certainly is the view that you may have around how you see these leaders and the role they've played in the country. But are they seen differently within the party? I mean, could they possibly see a comeback at this national conference?
Yes, they can be seen very differently because previous reports have shown us that the ANC is divorced from the common people. In other words, the society and the ANC don't think the same way. So, but if you then accept that corruption is systemic now in the ANC, it is in the DNA of the ANC. So those people who are going to promote some form of protection from the law, those people who are going to promote an ability to continue stealing tenders and getting jobs that you are not qualified for may well continue to emerge, because even the ones who are in office and the ones who are in the 200 list of nominees are no better than what we've seen up to this point anyway.
Yeah, last night, let's talk about that, because the news came out from the Jacob Zuma Foundation. President, and it reads, the statement, of course, President Cyril Ramaphosa has been charged in a private prosecution with the criminal offence of being an accessory after the fact in the crimes committed by, among others, Advocate Downer, namely breaching the provisions of the NPA Act. I chuckle because when this came out, a lot of the response was, well, that's not how private prosecutions work, that you have to have been denied prosecution by the public prosecutor first before you go the route of a private prosecution. We could talk about the legal processes of it, and I'd really like to hear that. But surely the former president and his legal advisors would know this. Why then release the statement?
This is a publicity stunt. And then they will then say, no, whatever was not done absolutely correctly, they'll go and correct it. But it's not up to them to produce the certificate for prosecution in any event. It goes to the NPA. They need that certificate from another party. They can't generate that in their offices. So whilst they can say it was just a mistake, it was not a mistake in the legal sense. It was a political maneuver to say this, and Zuma has said that the ANC is led by Iskebeng, which means it's a thug. The person leading the ANC is a thug, and is probably now trying to use these papers to attend to this matter of this thug who's leading the ANC from Zuma's point of view, politically, not legally. Legally, I think what they did is nonsense, it's unacceptable.
But there is something to be said around whether or not branch delegates understand even the legal processes that come with, say, a private prosecution. Because if that understanding is not there, that statement may very well have sway within the members, correct?
If you read, for instance, things like the diagnostic report of 2017 written by Gwede Mantashe, the quality of the branch, including the educational quality, the literacy of the branch member, the average branch member of the African National Congress, has deteriorated rapidly since the 1990s, to the point where in some of the conference, including the Mangaung conference where Cyril and others were elected, where you found that the only thing that they came there is to vote. Don't waste our time with discussing policies. The intellectual work, they are not interested in any intellectual work. They're interested in the cult of personality.
That's disheartening if you say that, because there are very critical policies that need to be discussed here by the party.
Yes, I mean, the party has no capacity to formulate policy or to discuss it. That is long gone. That is all water under the bridge now.
Let's talk a little bit about what we've seen this morning. I spoke to NEC member Zizi Kodwa just moments ago, when he was quite relieved when I left the discussion around the administrative disarray that we see this morning with a program that was supposed to start at 8. The chairperson saying it should start at around 2 o'clock, but you have hundreds of delegates that are standing at the door. Does that bring about a question of trust in the processes that the party then has? And I'm talking about trust by the branch members themselves, where this week already we had members of the party going to the courts wanting to see the raw data of the NEC nominations.
I think that that information and the queues, long queues, I mean, we've come back from a briefing by Pulemabe now, where it's clear that the program is not running on time. The question then is that from 2017, they said they are going to fix these processes. Part of the renewal by Cyril Ramaphosa was to clean up the membership. I don't think this is an impossible task. The skills to run a membership system in South Africa exist. Gyms run these systems. There's all sorts of places that run membership systems. The ANC, which is running the entire civilization of South Africa, cannot run its own minute a membership system, cannot run a conference. and they then say they can run the country. They are, by just the way they are trying to run this conference, it's a clear sign that administrative capability, technocratic merit is absolutely lacking in the African National Congress of today.
Yeah, you saw Pule Mabe giving a briefing earlier and talking about the program, but then a little bit later on in that address, he started talking about how the party deals with disciplinary processes, and I think that's going to be a really big one, of course, saying that the party is going to be using uniformity in dealing with party members that have gone through disciplinary processes within the party and outside of the party. But have we seen that sort of uniformity?
No, there is no uniformity. That is why they are doing this, because for many years, you become a hero, you do something, you don't toe the party line, like Derek Ganekom, or Ben Turok and others. You become a hero, or Barbara Hogan and so on. You become a hero, and then if you then are not in favor of the dominant faction, you become a villain. So whether you're talking the Integrity Commission, whether you're talking the National Disciplinary Committee of the African National Congress, when it comes to discipline, ethics and morality, there has been no consistency, which is a fresh air that they admit that they've been inconsistent.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the potential leadership that we could see come out of this national spokesperson saying that the intention is to start electing the NEC members today, and that tomorrow some of the top 6, hopefully by then, would be voted on. Let's talk a little bit about the front runners, particularly for the race for presidency of the party. Cyril Ramaphosa, Dr. Zweli Mkhize. I mean, who for you is the front runner? Is it a slam dunk for the president?
No, it's not. I mean, in the past 48 hours, if I was reading the newspapers correctly, Gauteng has said they are not endorsing Cyril Ramaphosa, for instance, which is now, if the two largest provinces by population and by economy would be KZN and Gauteng. Those two provinces have not endorsed the so-called front runner, Cyril Ramaphosa. COSATU has not endorsed Cyril Ramaphosa. So what we need to say is that the list that Kgalema Motlanthe has produced at least is a confirmation of who, according to Kgalema Motlanthe, has been nominated. It's not an indication of who's going to be elected and win the election here.
Yeah. Who do you expect to be called from the floor?
That's difficult. Yeah. I have my own candidate, but I don't think she will be called from the floor for presidency.
Yes.
Yeah.
It would be interesting. And then, of course, there's the bigger discussion around some of the younger leaders in the party who have said that the likes of Jomo Sibiya, a former ANC Youth League chairperson in KZN, who have come out and said that the leadership of the party that led from 1994, that this elective conference should be their last term, and that some of the younger role players should then step in. You've got the likes of Oscar Mabuyane, Ronald Lamola, Pule Mabe, Mdumiseni Ntuli, who have put their names forward. Do we have quality leadership in that young batch of leaders of the party?
I think you could say here and there you do have. You do have the likes of David Masondo, you do have Mdumiseni Ntuli, you do have Potgieter as another one. Those three, definitely you could consider. But there are others. For instance, people who come from the Eastern Cape generally, which is a province that has been a failure from day one in 1994. When this ANC took power in 1994, the Eastern Cape has been a failure, a consistent and a worsening failure since that time. So to say you are going to give people from that failing province prominence, it would be a mistake. Gauteng is another producer of failures. As consistent failures, they've lost all the metros, the ANC is losing total support and is totally disconnected to the people of Gauteng. So you cannot use those provinces that are producing failures to say that they are going to now take their propensity for failure to the national scale now. We can't do that.
I mean, that's one thing to be said about those provinces when they are speaking so emphatically about who they're supporting. I mean, even the support of Paul Mashatile, who is now Treasurer General, where Gauteng has essentially said they want Paul Mashatile as Deputy President. Would that be good for the party?
Paul Mashatile, in my book, is one of the most dubious characters you can come across. Historically, although he has not been prosecuted, but culturally and socially, he has been known to be associated with the Alex Mafia. And he also is one of those people who come from the province of Gauteng, which is a failure of a province, total failure and economical failure that has dragged the whole SADC region down. Because this is the engine, Gauteng is the engine of the SADC region, economic engine. And given the tools that we have and the failure rate under Mashatile, even the previous premier and so on, it's hopeless. This is a hopeless scenario. I won't promote Paul Mashatile for deputy president because of a clear track record of failure.
Yeah, there's a clear shortage of women as well in some of the nominations that we see, particularly for those that are gunning for the top 6 position. And we saw just this week in conversation with the SABC News's Sophie Mokoena, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, talking about the patriarchy within the party, and that, 110 years into the party, it seems that they seem to be taking steps backwards in terms of finding that representation for women.
I think that there may be information that I do not have, but probably around the time of the end of the presidency of Thabo Mbeki, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma probably needed to have risen instead of Jacob Zuma. I am not sure why she allowed her husband, or ex-husband, to be the one taking the position, because there are people who believe, credible people who believe she's got a lot of technocratic merit. And obviously her loyalty to the cause of the liberation of Africa is well established. But I do not know why at that time. Now, I think her clock is against her. The clock is against her. I would have wanted a younger woman, which is why in my book I would have promoted Phumzile Mlambo, who's younger and quite a brilliant woman in South Africa and around the world, highly respected and very successful.
Yeah. Sandile Swana, the political analyst and governance expert, and he'll be with us as well throughout the next few days as we bring you the elective conference of the African National Congress.